Let's talk romance and style. Was it a hit in the runway or a fashion faux pas? Dive right in. Romance and Style was starring Jaicy Elliot. A lot of you will recognize her from Grey's Anatomy. And then she stars as Ella, who's a seamstress and an aspiring fashion designer. She has this vision of fashion for the masses. She's really wanting to bring and include plus size women into the world of fashion and not be fashion is all about just the traditional rail thin model. And then we have Ben Hollingsworth, who stars as Derek. He's the third generation of this family who's a publishing titans, and he's being brought in to be groomed to take over for his dad as his dad prepares to exit. So Derek's coming into, he's already turned around one magazine, and now he's being brought into the fashion magazine to turn that one around. So there's our main characters. What's it about? The main thing this movie is really about is body positivity. That's the overarching theme of what we're supposed to walk away with. Jaicy Elliot is a bigger woman, and the character Ella, as I said, is about fashion for the masses. She's about designing clothes that are great for everybody. And Derek comes in, he doesn't really know anything about fashion. He meets Ella, who he realizes, hey, this woman knows a lot about fashion, so he asks her to help him learn, to be basically a consultant. She agrees if Derek will do an article about her and her design skills, because she's trying to become this designer, and obviously that kind of publicity would be great for her. So he agrees to it. The movie then takes them through all the adventures of they get to know each other, and she educates Derek on what fashion's all about. And in doing so, it really opens up Derek's eyes to how fashion, primarily if you go to the traditional publications and fashion people, it's very exclusive. And she opens his eyes to trying to make it more inclusive. And he's not just being a socially good guy because he realizes, hey, it's the right thing to do, but it's also a smart thing to do from a business standpoint because more readers, more people buying the products, more advertising dollars. So he sort of gets it from both sides. The movie takes us through their adventures, and he gets to know fashion, she gets to know him. They, of course, become interested in each other, and they're getting ready to launch this magazine. There's going to be a big launch party of this digital magazine. There's arch enemies, who we have Claudia, who is the editor of the print portion of the magazine. Derek's focusing on the digital. She's going to keep doing the print, which is going to keep focusing on this rail thin models, very beautiful women who are what most people would say not really realistic of what women's bodies are or what women should be expected to look like. And she's really saying that is fashion. Fashion is aspirational. It's not for the masses. So she's completely contradicting what Derek's trying to do. And then Claudia has Liza as her sidekick, her assistant, who's sort of her little evil minion, who she sends to do all these tasks and do backstabbing and all that sort of stuff. Along with that, we have Kate, who is Ella's friend, who works for the magazine, and she's got kind of a cool job. I don't know exactly what the title is, but she goes, grabs clothes and accessories and shoes for all the shoots or things like that. And so she picks out all these clothes, and she gets paid to do it. Seems like a pretty cool gig. And then Oliver is the buddy of Derek, who really is the sort of the doer of this digital magazine. He's responsible for laying it out, getting the content, putting it all together. Derek's the visionary, and then Oliver's putting it all together. There's our sort of our cast of characters. As you go through the movie, there's a lot of instances where, as I said, Derek's eyes are opened up and he becomes more aware. They get ready for the launch party. They have the inevitable conflict. Liza tells Ella that Derek has really just been using her and he just needs her for advertising dollars and to get more readers and everything like that. But of course, he's not really interested in her. And she gets upset, leaves, doesn't attend leaves the launch party fairly quickly, and is all mad. Next day, Derek's like, makes up, come on here, let me show you what I did for you. And he helped arrange to have a very prominent designer who is wanting to expand into this fashion for the masses to create this plus size line. And he helps her, Ella, get this relationship and this partnership going. And then says, by the way, we're also doing a photo shoot with you in it. And boom, smooch. There you go. There's a movie. So in a nutshell, there's a movie. You can fill in all the holes. It's got a lot of the formulaic Hallmark things. Let's dive into it. Let's dissect it a little bit now. Let's really examine it. If this is a movie that you should be watching or if this is a movie you can skip. So what did I like? I liked this overall message that Hallmark did with the body positivity. Hallmark has very notably been going to much more inclusive and diversity in their programming. They're featuring a lot more characters of biracial relationships or LGBTQ characters or couples even, and things like that. And so this was sort of a next logical step. Because if you look at Ella, Jaicy Elliot, she's not exactly like most of the leading Hallmark actresses. Hallmark, has taken a lot of criticism for that for some people, some of it justifiable, some of it maybe not so much, but she's a bigger woman than a Lacey, who is micro, tiny, little bitty type person. As they go through the movie, they have this message. They really help you understand that it's all about creating this fashion for the masses. A great message in there. The character of Ella does a good job explaining it, helping you feel sympathetic for the cause and really gets you on board. The overall story, like I said, it may be formulaic. You do have to enter the Hallmark universe and look at some plot holes, look at some of the pacing of it, which is kind of frenetic. Just you're going through things, boom, boom, boom. You can't really stop and dissect it, but who cares? We're here for escapism. We're not here for realism. That was really good. I liked the good story. I liked the overall message of the movie. Going a little deeper, I thought Ben Hollingsworth, he was in Splash of Love, which was just an okay movie. I thought he did pretty well with the role he was given. And the same thing here. He handled the role pretty well and, for the most part was pretty likable and did a good job opposite Jaicy Elliot. Another thing I thought they did good with Ella was they showed, while she was very confident, they also did a good job, I think, showing her moments of insecurities that she had about her body and where it fit in society and things like that. It's why she was susceptible to Liza telling him that Derek was just using it. It's like you could just sense she just had that thing of like, why is this really good looking guy who's super successful and everything like that interested in me? It balanced it with the confidence that she had with, I am good, I am special, I am what a woman should be and stuff like that. So they balanced it, but they did touch on that. So I think it had a good moment of what it would really be like for a woman in the situation. So I thought they did that. Like I said, we don't go to Hallmark for that realism, but they did do a good job of capturing that as well. So there's a scene in here that I really liked that had Liza, who was getting ready for the big launch party, kind of disappeared for a little bit, and she came back into the office and she runs into Ella. She's like, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? Oh, I know you're looking at me. And you could see like she was very insecure and everything like that. She's like, yes, I got a little, touch up done. I think with like Botox or something like that, I assume. And she's like, says to Ella, you just don't know what it's like to have this pressure to look good and, all of this stuff. And obviously she's saying it to Ella, who lives it on a daily basis. So Ella didn't jump down her throat and get, tear her out and say, what the hell are you talking about? She sort of is like, oh yes, I do. And just it was just enough where it didn't demean Liza, but it definitely conveyed it. So I thought that was a really good, touching scene. Come on, the movie is called Romance in Style, so we gotta talk about the fashion, right? It was very good. They obviously had a bar that they had to hit, and they hit it. Ella's clothes that she wore were really cute. She was designing them herself. Sometimes you could risk going and being a little too, if you're supposed to be designing your own clothes or doing things like that, it could just be not good. They nailed it. They had great fashion. Of course, the high-end fashion that they were also showing was spectacular. I think, hell, if we want to talk fashion, 2022, just look throughout all the movies. Even the bad movies, they've had really, really cute fashion throughout this whole entire year. I don't know if they decided to up the wardrobe budgets or what they've done, but almost every movie, just time and time again, to say, God, she was dressed so cute. Of course, obviously a fashion movie, they nailed the fashion. Good job. Didn't miss the ball on that one. Okay, another thing I liked about this movie was the side characters. Good and bad. You had the evil Claudia and Liza, and yes, we had our villain who we could cheer against and not like, all that. I think they did a great job at that. Kind of hard to be, I'm going to go into this movie and be a terrible person. And they did a good job. They didn't go over the top. They just nailed it of what you think this fashion editor who's really promoting this bad message of what ideal women should look like is. And they did a great job at creating these evil people for us to cheer against. They also did a really good job with the friends. You've got Kate, who Ella's friend, and then Oliver, who is Derek's friend, and their roles, they were really good complementary roles, and they, of course, spent more time together and eventually developed an attraction for each other, which had one of my favorite scenes in the movie where getting ready for the launch of the movie, and there's an exclusive list, so not everyone's invited to the launch party. Oliver goes to Kate as they're sort of hanging out. He's like, so what are you going to wear to the party? She's like, I'm not invited to the party. I'm not going. He's like, you're my plus one. And she's like, oh, I'm going to the party. I'm going to the party. And it was just a really cute scene. I think it sort of, throughout the movie, they sort of obviously had a little flirtation going, a little interest to each other. And it was just sort of the thing that just sealed it. So I thought that was a really, really cute scene. And one final thing I really liked about the movie was the ending. It was just so bam, 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 powerful. You got Lizzo doing good as hell while they do the photo shoot, and the pictures and the cute clothes that they have going on. And it just, even if you didn't like the movie, you kind of couldn't help but get wrapped up into the ad ending. And there's that recency bias thing going on, right? So you may not like the movie, but at the end you liked it, so you left smiling, and you probably have a pretty good feeling about the movie. They just really nailed the ending. They had the kiss, which a lot of Hallmark movies end on the kiss, but had the kiss, and then she went off and danced and jammed to that music, and just loved the ending. Loved the ending. Flip side, what didn't I like? I'll start small, then I'll go big. I thought that Ella's character, well, I said there was this body positivity thing, and I thought they did a pretty good job dealing with it. She was kind of her role, she seemed to be a little bit hot and cold, especially at the beginning, where she had these moments where I didn't think she was kind of likable. She was just abrasive at times. Now, I know she was trying to get her message across and things like that, and it wasn't always just with that. Some of it was just her personality. Just at first, just came across a little abrasive, a little almost angry. And then even with the body positivity, what they were trying to do is, get it to that good point, which really has us thinking, we're in the Hallmark universe, but this is a big issue that they're dealing with, right? So it's important. It's an important thing of the movie. So we can have fun, we can take it all light, but at the end of the day, this is an important issue to deal with that they, like I say, I think for the most part they dealt with. But every now and then, they would just get to that edge where it would be fantastic, and then just teeter over just a little, where it would get a little bit preachy, a little bit soapboxy. It wouldn't go really far, it wasn't drawn out. It would just be these moments where they'd go a little bit too much. They'd pull it back in, which is good. So, like I said, just a little issue, not anything like I say would be a terrible one or anything like that. And like I say, overall, I think they really dealt with the body positivity well. So, still kudos for that, and I think it was still a great job. Just like I said, they had the moments. And then there's also a scene in there where I just didn't like it. For whatever reason, for the most part, I enjoyed the movie, had a lot of fun with it. There's one scene in there that I just didn't like with Ella, where Ben has this, I guess he donated the money to create this. I think it's an after-school facility where kids can come do sports and activities and things like that. And he's coaching a little youth basketball team, and there's a kid on there who's struggling how to shoot a basketball and stuff like that. So Derek's taking the time to show him how to shoot, to give him some fundamentals on how to shoot and this, that, and the other. And then Ella comes, who's watching with a bunch of other people, comes running out of the stands, like onto the court, and starts explaining it to him. It's like, oh, this is what you want to do, this, that, and the other. This is how you shoot the basketball. I don't know. That was Derek's space. And for her to run in, I found that an annoying thing. Should have hit the cutting room floor, but it wasn't really necessary. There was no real point in it. So then let's get to the big thing that really bothered me with this movie. We had this, as I said, it's Hallmark, right? It's fun. It's light. For the most part. It had this big message, though, that they dealt with, and they dealt with well. But there was also another big message that was in here that I think they dealt with very poorly, and I don't think is intended. Derek is the publisher. He is the owner. He is the big wig. And Ella is just a seamstress there. She's very low, and he brings her in and like, hey, I'm going to be your consultant, which is great. You know, she helps him do this. But for it to evolve into a relationship, it just, the power balance there, which I think, like I said, I don't think they were trying to hit on, but for me, it really struck a chord where I just kept in the back of my mind going, this is a little creepy. This is the boss hitting on the employee, which is a big message too. You know, it's a Me Too aspect of it. And I don't think it was what it was intended. A lot of you may not even noticed it. As I go through my Instagram and things like that, a lot of people, oh, you know what, you're right. I didn't pick that up at first, but now that you mention it, yeah. So the movie had this like little underlying creepiness to me because of that power imbalance there of the two characters that I wish they wouldn't have it. It's like, Ben, you don't fish on your own dock. Go elsewhere. Number one rule, guys, don't be doing that at work. And, so while Ella didn't technically work for him, she definitely kind of did. So I think, everyone who's around work looking there and seeing her kiss the boss, who once was kind of a nobody, who was just a seamstress, and not many people knew who she was, and all of a sudden she's making out with the boss, and now she's in charge. So what do you think everyone thinks about for her? Despite all of her abilities, all the fact that she's completely talented and deserving, it created this thing that I'm sure coworkers are like, that's the way to get to the top, unfortunately. Ella wasn't like he was coerced or anything like that. She very much liked him and all of that. So, but it just, to me, had a little creepiness. All right, what about the chemistry of the movie? How did Ella and Derek get along? And we come to these Hallmark movies for love, right? And for the chemistry, and it's get those butterflies. Did you get it? And I'll say no. They weren't bad. It wasn't like what these people doing together or, not good, but at the same time, not a lot of chemistry. They kind of, as I said, the pacing of the movie, as it went so fast, it just sort of, hey, I like you. Ben Hollingsworth's character was, kind of part of, I guess, lends itself to this little creepiness aspect to me. He came guns ablaze and full out flirting with her very early on and just going on the very, I'm obviously attracted to you as we go through all these things and stuff like that. Wasn't great chemistry, not terrible chemistry, just sort of lukewarm. So we have that. Okay, so what do we think of the movie? How do we rate it? I give this one a pretty solid 3 hearts. It's a movie that if it's on, sit and watch it, enjoy it, fold laundry while you do it. Just, when you see it, it's worth watching again multiple times, over the course of time and stuff like that. So not a bad movie. It's not one that I would go out of my way for. It's one I also think had a very serious flaw to it that kept it from being a great movie, even a higher movie. I think if they somehow, I'm not sure how, but maybe not work at the same place, got rid of that whole Me Too power balance thing, I probably would have given this movie a 4, pretty solid 4. But like I say, it did drop it down. It's a very formulaic Hallmark movie. It's what you want to get in a Hallmark movie. For most part, you get those little feel-goods watching it and everything like that. So there you go. Love to hear what you think. Leave a comment. Let me know. Did you get that sense of that power imbalance? Did that bother you at all? What do you think? Did they handle the body positivity right? Leave comments. Let me know what you think. We got a lot of movies coming up. I'm very excited for Paul Campbell and Rachel Boston starring Dating the Delaneys. Love both of those two. If you go to Hallmark Movie Reviewer, you'll see my rankings and you'll see how highly I think of both of them. So this movie, super excited for. Until next time, I'm Eric Rutan, the Hallmark Movie Reviewer. See you later.